Thank you so much, Nancy. All right, I'm gonna let Michele take it away.
Great, thank you. So hopefully my computer won't freeze. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. I'm Michele Forte. I'm the manager of student supports for SUNY Online. Thank you for sticking with us and tuning in for an update on our Starfish project, and especially to hear a showcase of two of our campuses and their use of Starfish, particularly as it connects with campus response to COVID last year. So this is our just quick agenda for today. We'll have just a general community of practice update, and then we'll sort of get right into those two campus showcases and hopefully have some time for questions and chatting and all of those important things. So if we could go to the next slide, Kristyn, and then the one after that. So just to provide a context, and we know lots of you have heard this, by now, but it bears some repeating, particularly as we evolve our thinking about the technology infrastructure at SUNY, as certainly as we're thinking about our lessons learned. Can we say post-COVID? Almost, I think we can. So some years ago, just sort of relative to this, we wanted to expand the use of Starfish. We had some early adopter campuses, and Kristyn will talk about that in a minute. But we really wanted to think through how we could expand its usage across several campuses to investigate what, I don't know that we were using this language then, but a more scaled adoption, right, of this tool. And the tool is customizable, it's flexible, some very early interesting usage, on some campuses. So Starfish was really intended to help us think through how we could approach using a vendor solution, right, a case management and communication tool. It integrates with the SIS, it integrates with the LMS, and has the potential to work with other campus systems, but it allows communication to happen before a high-stakes situation emerges, right, from which a student is less likely to recover. And we were particularly thinking, in the Open SUNY world, how can we help online students to find some success and not become so untethered from their physical campus, from their advisors, from their faculty members in the online modality, that they find themselves in a situation that disrupts their academic progress, may threaten financial aid. So it's intended to be what it sounds like. It's an early alerts piece, right? So for example, an instructor could notify a student about a concern or success in a class early on, right? There are flags that could indicate frequent absences, you haven't logged into the class. It also allows instructors and advisors to, depending on how it's configured, to give students what the system calls kudos or praise, right? Like, you've been doing great in this class, or good use of my feedback on your academic performance. So it allows us to mechanize, to use technology to help us communicate with students more easily rather than one by one. And we know, at least it was for me, when I went from teaching in the face-to-face environment to the online environment, I lost track of my students. I lost track of myself. Really, it was a different relationship to time and place. So this gives us a mechanism to automate some of this knowledge, some of these student behaviors, and then again, we can act on it before students fall into a scenario that threatens time to completion. And again, dialing back to early this morning when Carrie Hatch said something like, we need to be aware of how we not only attract students, but keep the students that we have, right? And this is a way that we can help. It's one way, not all the ways, but one way that we can help in terms of that holistic suite of student supports. So we invested some money, right? You can see it's about 1.2 million through EIPF and PIF funding. And we've seen some success. And again, I'll turn it to Kristyn in a second to discuss our community of practice. But just one last note, we continue to invest in this relationship. We do consider it a relationship with our campuses and with our vendor partner. And we do have a university-wide contract now in place through 2021. And I think with that as a context, I will spin it to Kristyn to discuss our community of practice.
So we have 33 campuses utilizing Starfish. I mentioned this earlier today in a presentation with Michele and Thomas Chu. Like Michele said, we had created a model where we had early adopters identified as mentors, and we had mentee campuses, or the new instance campuses, brought them together for an intentional community of practice, really just designed to support each other. We had frequent meetings, we still do. They're obviously all virtual now, but when we were in person, we were having full day-long meetings, like 5-hour meetings on a particular campus, traveling around the state. And it is really one of the most robust communities of practice, I think, within SUNY. Of course, I'm biased because it's ours, but I think like really active participation. And whether a campus was a mentor or a mentee or a non-funded campus that came in on their own accord, everyone has learned so much from each other. So it's been an awesome experience to be part of this community of practice. Here are the campuses that are part of that community of practice. Like I mentioned, we have the different cohorts, the mentors, the campuses that came in not through a funded mechanism. None of this really matters though, because at this point, we're not engaged in that structure anymore. And it really is just an organic, well, it's not organic because we created it, but now it sort of runs more organically as a community of practice where everybody reaches out to each other and helps one another. This is just a little bit of data to show Starfish usage over time. I know that I need to put in the fall 2020 data and spring now 2021. I've put in a request to Starfish to get that data to add to this visualization, but you can see not only obviously we've increased the number of campuses, but we also have increased usage. You can see that the spring 2020, that purple bar all the way on the right compared to the other spring semesters, right? That's not just new campuses, that's COVID usage, right? That is we realizing that we needed to really be able to reach out to these students and connect with them not being on our campus. So just want to point out that difference there. A little bit about the evolution of our partnership with was Hobsons, now EAB. Starfish was recently acquired by EAB, but Michele talked about a lot of this already. We had, when Open SUNY was launched in 2014, we had decided that early alerts would be one of the signature elements. So campuses that wanted to become an Open SUNY Plus campus had to have some sort of early alert system, and some campuses were already using Starfish. So we had developed a U-wide contract with Starfish. And then the next couple of years following, again, we did the community of practice. We brought more campuses on board, and Hobsons acquired the PAR framework and really enhanced their analytics capability, which again, we talked about in our presentation earlier today. Continue to expand through the various cohorts. We did our analytics pilot. And then more recently, we implemented Starfish with the SUNY Online Degrees at Scale implementation. So where we have one instance that we're using to support multiple campuses, and we're still working through a lot of the details with that. And again, EAB acquired Starfish most recently this semester, and we're still, again, learning more about that. Michele mentioned that we value this partnership and this contract. Our previous contract did expire in March of 2021, and because COVID was a difficult time for putting a lot of resources toward an RFP, we pursued an emergency procurement instead, so we could extend the contract and make sure there were no interruptions to the services we were providing to students by having Starfish on campus. So the new contract does expand access to a variety of new, or maybe not new, but new to us, Starfish enhancements, like text messaging, for instance. And because our contract was created so many years ago, there have been enhancements that have come to the product that we haven't had access to. So we're very excited that as our campuses are signing on to renew their contract, that they are going to have access to those enhancements and products. And additionally, because Starfish was recently acquired by EAB, our campuses also now have access to additional resources and research through the EAB platform. Oh, I guess I skipped ahead to this, but yeah, so the new contract, April 2021 to June 2023, Again, you can see, and the names are a little bit tricky, but it's just good to know that there are parts of analytics, not the whole suite, but parts of it that are going to be available to the campuses. The text messaging capability, consulting hours are going to be built into the contract, so campuses aren't paying an additional amount for consulting on top of the product. And again, access to the research and resources. So we are excited to see what our campuses are able to do with the new functionality that they'll have through the new contract. Okay, so the real meat of the presentation today is, again, focusing on how our two community college case examples have utilized Starfish, especially during COVID. So I want to provide a little bit of context there, but then again, saving more time for our campus speakers. But in the summer, after we had transitioned to remote, we did a little survey with our community. 23 of our campuses responded, and all of them reported leveraging Starfish to address those COVID-19 challenges. And I mentioned the purple bar earlier of spring, in relationship to the other semesters, spring 2020 in relationship to the other prior spring semesters. And there was increased usage. It was very clear and evident to us. Flags, new types of flags, right? Flags to alert us if students were having technology access issues. Those types of things were being utilized a lot. Appointments. So previously, it might have just been the advising office and then some faculty who were buying into it, right? It really increased buy-in across campus in getting more people on board to realize the usefulness of a tool like Starfish. So our campuses will have more examples of that, but we did learn that it was very valuable. And here are a couple quotes as well from that survey. So the first one, we've been able to help faculty advisors understand how Starfish can help them schedule, track, and make their appointments with their advisees. Opened a lot of eyes to the system. So again, kind of what I just said. Better coordination of outreach efforts and way to quantify what's been done. Easier to divvy up workloads using existing student characteristics and attributes. This one's really important too, the quantifying of what's being done. So, Starfish is just a tool. Like Michele said earlier, it is really just helping us organize our human interactions, which are the interventions. The human interactions are actually what's making a difference, not the tool itself. But we can actually see what we've done. We can track what we've done with certain students. We can see where there might be gaps. So, that was one of the comments there. And increasing buy-in in the bottom left-hand corner, and then the no activity in Blackboard. So there are system flags, right? And that can be integrated with the LMS. And I think that many campuses were utilizing those before with their online courses, but now that everybody was online, there was a new attention paid to how can we utilize these system flags for our students in the online environment. So just a couple of quotes there. But I'm going to turn it over back to Michele to introduce our campus showcase representatives.
Yeah, so we can start with SUNY Adirondack. Jenny,
yep, I'm here.
Hello, hey, Jenny, are you here? Trying not to sneeze. So I was hoping I could get through. Jenny, are you here? And not sneeze. So please introduce yourself and take it away. Let us know what SUNY Adirondack is doing.
Sure. My name is Jenny Postelthwaite. I'm the Director of College Access and Student Success at SUNY Adirondack. So College Access really is our new name for the admissions office. And then Student Success includes academic advising, transfer, career planning, and placement testing. So I'm happy to talk about kind of how Starfish the usage was increased during COVID, like at so many of your institutions, I'm sure. So do I have the power to click through the PowerPoint? Perfect. So in fall of 19, we implemented Starfish campus-wide. So I'll give you a little bit of background. During that time, we did about 60 different training opportunities across campus, whether it was individual or group training, faculty, staff. I mean, we really tried to get our hands on anyone that we could to talk with them about Starfish and how it's going to be so helpful for our campus. So we did a lot of time, a lot of campus-wide presentations where faculty and staff were joined together to learn about the system. When we first implemented, we started small. Our pilot was with our freshman seminar courses. We thought that would be a great place to get the buy-in with these instructors that were really here to help make sure students were successful in their first semester. So we did progress surveys at week 3, 6, and 9 for this group. And then that was in the spring of 19. So in the fall of 19, when we went campus wide, we kept that consistent. Week 3, 6, and 9 were our normal progress survey check-in periods before Starfish. So that was helpful. Faculty knew what to expect. We then implemented the appointment setting feature, and really it was heavily used by advisors and a couple of freshman seminar instructors or other faculty members that had kind of stumbled upon it and updated their own system. We also had referrals to the counseling office, sim tutoring, financial aid, and our nursing support coaches. Again, so we kept the rollout pretty small with some intentional services in Starfish. So moving on to spring of 20 and fall of 20, we got specific with program flags and kudos, and EOP is a great example. They had such a tight-knit group. They were like, we want to do our own kudos. Our students are really responding well when they get a kudos. I want to give a kudos. So we were able to set them up with specific kudos and flags for their program that they managed. They raised, lowered, and threw out there all times for students. It was actually really great, and they're still using them. We also implemented the kiosk in the Student Success Center. So we got a little bit of use out of it. It went really well. The advisors loved it. We didn't have to go up and check a physical waiting room. We could just pull it up on the screen and call the student in. And then we did increased tracking of attendance in Starfish. We did some manually raised flags, training with faculty and staff, and then made sure that the service catalog membership was up to date for each of those areas. So then as we kind of move into, oh my gosh, COVID hit and we're all going home in March of 2020, we realized, where are we going to start? When these students are at home and they're taking their classes, how do we know where to focus our efforts as advisors? How do we know which students might be struggling? We were just past our, I think, 6-week progress survey. So we're like, well, that information might be a little outdated. So how are we going to get our hands on these students? We automated flags that were connected to Blackboard. So if students had not logged into Blackboard for 3 consecutive days, we had a flag raised on their account. And for advisors, that meant a few things to us. Either they don't have technology access at home, they cannot transition to online learning due to COVID, they don't know how to use Blackboard and get logged in, or maybe both. So once we got those flags, the day that we started back from spring break, advisors hit the ground running, calling, emailing students saying, what do you need? You haven't logged in. Do you know how to use Blackboard? Do you have Wi-Fi at home? It was a huge success. We really were able to help a lot of students in a short amount of time get access to what they needed. So we also implemented a technology loan program. So we weren't just saying, oh, you don't have Wi-Fi at home, I'm really sorry to hear that. We said, okay, here's what we can do. We can help you get connected. Here's some hot spots in the area that if you have to drive to them for a day until we can get you hooked up with Wi-Fi. But again, we focused our efforts with those Blackboard flags. Prior to March of 2020, SUNY Adirondack did not have consistent use of Blackboard. It was mainly used by our online instructors. So those students knew they had to use Blackboard to complete their online courses, but not all of our classroom-based faculty were uploading into Blackboard. They may not be tracking attendance in Blackboard. So prior to March, it would not have been helpful for us to use that automated flag. But it was life-changing in March. I mean, it was terrible, we were all home, but that use of this system was fantastic. However, the next semester we disabled that flag because faculty did not continue to use Blackboard consistently. Some of them had other systems that they were using to track attendance or whatever grading they might be doing. So the Blackboard flags were not always as helpful. Students were responding to us saying, my teacher doesn't use Blackboard, that's why I'm not logging in. So it was great at first, but we then disabled after we kind of got rolling with that and people got more comfortable with other technology systems. So in the summer of 2020, we also implemented a Title III grant during COVID. So we onboarded new staff, and the main focus around our Title III is first year experience. So trying to introduce a new employee to campus when she can't be on campus, of course, is difficult, but also trying to find out ways to connect students and build relationships virtually was a challenge. I'm sure many of you faced the same thing. So during the summer, our director of FYE also worked very, very hard to get us an online orientation. Prior to COVID, we had in-person new student orientations. We did not have an online orientation. So she developed that. It's in Blackboard, which then allowed us to kind of revamp Starfish and Blackboard for some of these automated flags. So we had auto flags for students that had not logged into the Blackboard new student orientation. And we also had an auto flag for any student that did not complete the final survey in the Blackboard orientation. So that allowed our Title III staff and peer coaches to kind of focus their efforts. Okay, these new students haven't completed orientation. Do they have technology? Do they not know how? How can we get them prepared for the semester to start? And again, we worked very closely with the freshman seminar instructors for this group of students. We sent them a list of everyone that had not completed the online orientation, new student orientation, and anyone that had not completed that final survey. So within the first couple of freshman seminar meetings, the instructor was able to connect with those students to figure out what type of help they need and how can we get them on track. So again, that was definitely a great success. We also had in-person appointments for advising going on during the summer of 2020. We had limited staff on campus in academic advising, admissions, and financial aid. So during that time, we cross-trained staff from all over campus to be calendar managers in Starfish, so that if a student called, if you were home, you could go into Starfish and schedule that student an appointment, an on-campus appointment with a staff member from another office. So we trained everyone with our support staff in our facilities office to our vice president of enrollment management. So we had a lot of people trained in Starfish, learning those features and functions and helping students get connected to the services. So continuing on to fall, I think all of the training that we did and just me, every meeting I was in on campus, just saying, oh, did you know Starfish can do this? Oh, hey, did you know Starfish can do that? I think I was probably pretty annoying to some faculty and staff every now and then for how much I talked about Starfish. But in the long run, I think it paid off, because in the fall of 2020, we started to receive a lot of new requests from people around campus, like, oh, can you do a Starfish training on this? Is it possible for my area to do this in Starfish? Our math tutoring center and our computer science and IT tutoring center transitioned to using Starfish only for appointment scheduling for those tutoring appointments, which was fantastic. So it really pushed students to the system consistently and faculty from that area. The support staff in the math division and computer science division were also in Starfish, so they could lower any flags. If a student went to tutoring, they could lower the flag. They could put in if there was a walk-in that day. So again, just cross-training for a lot of different areas on campus. Our reading specialist, who works out of our Center for Reading and Writing, was like, oh, I want to get in Starfish. I want faculty from any course to be able to refer a student to me. So that was set up. She did her own outreach to students that were referred. So another great success there. Again, we kept focusing on freshman seminar and getting our first year students prepared and to be successful throughout this online semester that we had. So freshman seminar, they wanted to create their own progress survey. They participated in the 3 and 6 week, but they wanted a survey after week 1. And they wanted to identify any student that did not attend the first class. So when they did that, the peer coaches from our FYE Title III program got right on those students. Hey, you didn't attend your first freshman seminar class, what's going on? Again, so it was just nice to have peer-to-peer outreach and make sure those first year students knew how to actually log in, how to find their Zoom link, and how to use all the different technology that might be going on in their classes. And of course, student tutors in the math and computer science area were also included and able to set up tutoring and lower tutoring referrals in Starfish. So moving on to spring 2021, we also received a TRIO student support services grant. So our TRIO director jumped right on board with Starfish. Again, it was really hard to make connections with students that might qualify to join that program. So we set up a TRIO referral where if an advisor worked with a student that they thought might qualify for that program, we made a quick referral in Starfish. The director of TRIO received that referral, and then she had a nice pool of students that she could reach out to invite to an information session and hopefully sign up for the TRIO program. We also then implemented some organizations and cohorts in Starfish, really just to help us manage better with which group of students is doing what, who's taking advantage of tutoring, and just allowed us to run those great Starfish reports at the end of each term. We did a little bit of revamp on our student success network that's in Starfish. So who should be showing in the student success network to the student, who can be hidden. Many of our students have multiple advisors assigned to them. So everyone has an academic advisor. If you're in EOP, you also have an EOP advisor. If you're in our Finish in 2 program, you may have a Finish in 2 advisor. If you're in athletics, you might have an athlete advisor. So that can get a little overwhelming for students. So we really went through and prioritized what should students be seeing and who should be the kind of the first line of defense for that student. So if a flag is raised, there's not 4 advisors going after that student, there's 1. And then there's a backup if the student isn't connecting with that person. We also did some training this spring to get faculty on board with tracking attendance in Starfish or Blackboard and using the Blackboard gradebook. Because when we first transitioned to online, having all of that information available to advisors was really life-changing. If faculty are not putting attendance in, of course, you know, it's really hard for advisors to know, well, where does the student stand? And the same thing with the Blackboard gradebook. So during some training this past semester, I showed faculty, this is what the advisor view looks like of Starfish. So if you put your attendance in, if you put your grades in, this is how much information we have, and we can better help your students be prepared for your class and know where they stand. And I think that was very helpful. I think with everyone working from home, you know your area very well, but you kind of forget like, oh, faculty don't see that. They may not know why we want that information so badly. So that was another great training to have. And then we did a little bit of retraining on the notes feature and when should you put notes in. You can see if a note is read with students, which is a popular feature with our faculty and staff. We expanded referrals, kudos, and we did a lot of training on flag lowering. I've realized that people love to raise flags, but going back in to lower the flag is not as exciting for people. So we just reminded them like, hey, if this student reaches out to you, please lower the flag so we don't spend the next week and a half trying to track that student down for no reason. So all good trainings and just a great reminder that we need consistent training around all the different features that we start to implement. So looking forward to the fall of 2021, SUNY Adirondack is largely back in person. We have very few Zoom classes. We'll continue with online, but for the most part, we are in person. Res Hall, of course, is open and we're ready to go. All of our accepted student days are in person as well. So we're trying to get students prepared for that. So we'll continue to do faculty training on the gradebook, attendance feature and flag lowering so that we can get as much updated information as we possibly can for all of the different advisors on campus. We're still doing online orientation, so that's still connected with the Blackboard automated flag with Starfish. So we'll have some really great data of our incoming class and how prepared they are before classes start. We're going to continue to focus on our FYE since it's part of Title III and freshman seminar courses. Those faculty seem to be very on board. They're our biggest cheerleaders when they go back to their own divisions and say, hey, we're doing this in freshman seminar. We should consider doing this in the science department or something like that. So we've had great success getting the word out that way. And we will be implementing some additional kiosks around campus because they've been very popular. So Financial aid would love to have one, and I know our Trio SSS office would also like one. So we're hoping that the tutoring centers, since we will be back in person, may be on board for a kiosk as well. So, I mean, really long story short, it's just been, I mean, we've had a pretty good success rate with Starfish when we implemented. Our progress survey completion rate has been about 60% campus-wide, which is great. So I think the new features in Starfish and what we've been able to show the campus during COVID is just going to help that when it comes fall. I think we'll see more and more faculty putting the data in early and raising their own flags, not waiting for that progress survey to pop up in their email. So we're excited. It's just really, it's been life-changing here at SUNY Adirondack. So COVID has sucked, but Starfish has been great.
Thanks, Jenny. No, I think that's it, right? So we didn't have a choice. So what are we going to do?
Yep.
The mechanisms that we have for the choice that we didn't have, right? So yeah, I mean, this if we're learning organizations, we might as well continue to learn.
Yes.
However much we don't want to. Particular space. So if anyone has any questions for Jenny, that was really Forrest Gump, wasn't it? I did it. I just did it. So Jenny, please put them in the chat. And then Michele.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Michele Nightingale. Can you all tell how much we love our campuses in this community of practice? Like, we're literally gushing at them. So, and it's not for your benefit, like, we just really love them. So I would love to turn it over to you and tell us about TC3. And then,
Hey.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michele. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michele with 2 L's, Nightingale, and I am the Director of Student Success at Tompkins Cortland Community College. Our office, like Jenny's, is advising career and transfer services, and we are within a one-stop where our admissions is also located, so we do a lot of our new student onboarding out of our area as well. So we were part of cohort 3. If you looked at that slide Kristyn had up earlier about when people implemented Starfish, and we started small as well with a pilot in the middle of spring 2019, and we only did a week 8 progress survey. We have a long-standing practice to have a week 5 early alert reporting, progress reporting through our SIS, and we had 100% participation in that for a long time. It's one of the things that faculty are required to submit. And so when we transitioned to Starfish, it was a little bit interesting to see, you know, how many people are going to participate in this optional thing. But we knew that week 5 was way too early to tell how students were doing. And we did the week 8 progress survey, which is right before leading up to our withdrawal deadline, to make sure that our students were making informed choices about what they should do if there was a concern raised in one of their courses. We also had some manually raised flags, and because it was a mid-semester implementation, some faculty were really proactive. They found things, they tried them out, and we did barely start doing the appointment scheduling feature, as you'll see in a moment. In fall 19 was when more of our full-scale rollout happened, which was obviously right before the pandemic. And we had all of our faculty advisors in a series of trainings at the beginning of the semester. And we expanded some of our flag options, started using referrals for the first time. We continued the week 8 progress survey, and we saw the online scheduling blow up in the fall. Students found it very convenient, and we started the work to implement the kiosk for our one-stop center. So then fast forward to the next spring, when it was kind of fortuitous, because at the beginning of spring 2020, before the pandemic kicked into full gear, our provost, we had instituted a campus-wide course shell for all course sections, regardless of whether they were fully online, asynchronous or not. So all faculty had some minimum expectations to at least, post the course syllabus and things like that in spring, which helped as we led into not knowing what to expect a little bit later on. But we really did leverage Starfish quite considerably during our quarantine and our work from home period. In concert with our campus leadership, we created a critical flag, and this is Starfish has the capability to designate a flag as emergency notification, and that regardless of the user's individual preferences on getting emails from Starfish, this one automatically pushes it out to everyone. So it pushed it out to students, advisors, if the student had not participated since spring break. And we use the word participated very intentionally because after shifting remote, you know, instructors were defining that in very different ways, depending upon whether it was simply a login for an async student or whether it was a student coming on to a live remote lecture. And these students were not only notified via email automatically, we also created what we called our quarantine. And this was kind of a, I want to say it's almost like a behavioral response team, but specific to COVID and our response. And so it included folks from our residence life. It included folks from our vice president's office who, you know, will deal with medical emergencies for students that need to miss class, have a medical withdrawal, things like that. And so the quarantine was really actively reaching out and responding to these flags as we went through. And we had 376 of those flags raised in the weeks following our return from spring break, because that was when we went remote. And that was 263 unique students who received one of those flags. So our provost was very active in, you know, clearly defining what non-participation meant in the various types of courses. And we really had kind of a unified response to that so we could help support our students in as many ways as they needed. Like Adirondack and Jenny mentioned, you know, we loaned hotspots to students, we loaned laptops to students. We knew some students were trying to do a fully online course on their cell phone, and that was not working very well. And so, you know, we also leveraged the system flag for no Blackboard login. After a survey with our faculty, the kind of general consensus was, okay, 5 days, students can come back for 5 days. After that, it's a little bit dicier. Then we really began a completely online virtual office that was accessible during all of our open business hours for our one-stop center for admissions, financial aid, advising, and our registration, billing, bursar, all of that. And also, we saw many more faculty begin to use the online office hour appointments, course-related appointments, and things like that that we had already set up and had not yet done specific trainings on. We also did a much more intensive follow-up for the students who were identified as in danger of failing on our week 8 progress survey. Because we were nearing the withdrawal deadline, we did in fact extend our withdrawal deadline during that first semester of the pandemic to help, again, with our students having to shift gears so quickly. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea. Again, spring 19 was our pilot semester. So we did just a week 8 progress survey. And you can see the number of withdrawals we had just kind of as like a benchmark. And as we looked forward to the pandemic semester of spring 2020, you can see that the use of Starfish really blew up. And not only the tracking items that were raised during the progress surveys, which is that fourth column, excuse me, but also, you know, the individual manually raised flags and kudos that our instructors submitted. And you can see our kudos have always really outranked our flags in terms of the numbers, and our students love it. Like what Jenny was saying, like with their EOP cohort, we use it for all students, and the thoughtful, considerate comments that our faculty were giving to students about, hey, you know, keep up the good work. You just have to do X, Y, and Z, and you'll still be able to successfully complete the course. Really, you know, that Starfish frames things in that growth mindset language to begin with, and really focused our training for the faculty on that so that they could, again, be encouraging, and the students really responded very well to the kudos. You can see that outreach we did post week 8 survey did result in a significantly higher number of withdrawals and administrative withdrawals. And on our campus, administrative withdrawals are for non-attendance for more than a 2-week period. So that includes no login to Blackboard within that 2-week period for a completely asynchronous course. So you can see we more than doubled those, or almost doubled those. And then for comparison, I threw in this past spring, again, still pretty high usage. Again, a very strong lean towards the submission of kudos. The participation in our progress survey has still gone up every semester. So we are, again, the word is getting out there. More people are talking to their friends and saying, hey, use Starfish. Did you do this survey? And we've seen our number of withdrawals, again, drop back down, hopefully in response to some of the outreach we're doing there. And then this just shows our trends. You know, like I said, in spring, when we first implemented mid-semester, we had a couple of brave souls who tried out the scheduling feature. And then in the pandemic semester, we had just over 200 appointments total, and about half of which were virtual. And then this past spring, it has skyrocketed to almost 800 appointments that have been virtual in the different areas. And so again, I think what we've found is that we're not talking about getting rid of any of the things we've implemented during the pandemic. We're talking about how can we sustain them and expand them, because the students really appreciate the access that they have virtually. Particularly, we have a significant, as many of the SUNY community colleges do, adult student population, students who work. So that, I don't want to say almost instantaneous access, because that's a really slippery slope we have to navigate. But we use Microsoft Teams for our online classes, and I know our faculty have been super responsive to their students, sending individual messages in Teams, as well as through our virtual office that we've implemented off the main website, which anyone can access, even if they're an inquiry looking for information about the college. So again, like Jenny, where are we going next? We have really streamlined our kiosk usage for better data collection about who is coming in through that virtual office versus who is scheduling an appointment through Teams or over the phone or coming in person. And we are going to be implementing the virtual kiosk soon as well to kind of integrate those functions, because we had kind of created a standalone virtual office in Zoom and it wasn't integrating with our kiosk. So that is our hope moving forward. Students can check in online. They don't have to be here physically to do that. And the ongoing tracking and data collection and support provided by that virtual office will be ongoing. We're hoping to conduct some more trainings this fall before the semester begins to increase faculty adoption again and staff adoption. And we have a couple of other offices that are using it outside of our center. Our ODS office, which is our Diversity Education and Support Services office, they use it with their, what we call our Vector Network, which is our EOP-like program. And we are adding a few new referrals for this fall, as well as to-dos, and starting some new system flags, especially for registration to promote that retention function semester over semester. So we've already recorded the first few of our virtual trainings, and those are available at any time to our advisors. So there's a lot going on in the Starfish world, and it's not, it's going to only increase, because I think so many of our students and our faculty and staff have realized, wow, this really does make my life a whole lot easier using Starfish, because I can see who closed the loop, who opened that note, did the student actually see my communication, what did they meet with the advisor, what was the outcome of that, and it's been a really wonderful tool in just the short 2 years we've been using it.
That's great. So thank you both very much. And I think that if I had to summarize, I mean, I don't know that I could summarize, but if I had to summarize what you both said, it's something like this. So we had this tool that had capability to do lots of things. And some, I think, Michele, you said brave souls. some brave souls were willing to do it and others were not. And then along came COVID. And lots of us didn't have a lot of confidence about how to maintain connection with students, right? How to traverse what was really, you know, as we say, unprecedented times, but it was, right? That's the word. And your campuses and other campuses, but yours in particular, found a way to use technology to thoughtfully and deliberately and consistently let students know we're still here, where are you, and let us help you continue to be there as we together do this thing, right? This new sort of thing. And I think in terms of connecting holistic student supports with the relational aspects, with the growth mindset, thank you both for bringing up examples that actually codify that very philosophical perspective. So thank you very much for sharing this with all of us. Kristyn, any last thoughts?
Any questions from participants? Either in the chat or anyone want to unmute yourself? We've got like 2 minutes left maybe. Well, I know there are a lot of other Starfish users on the call, so hopefully that was helpful in maybe inspiring different ways of utilizing Starfish. I see in the chat from Maureen, did the grants cover the cost of Starfish? We'll let Jenny and Michele answer that. So I think you're talking about like the Title III grants probably. I mean, we had PIF. So for the campuses that implemented during the PIF structure, we covered 18 months of Starfish, and then the campuses had to cover that on their own. But I know there are several campuses that had other grants that might have helped to supplement that.
Yeah, Adirondack jumped in with the PIF funds. Title III did not support the cost of Starfish. However, Title III has been able to support some training around Starfish and other things related to the first year experience. So that's been nice.
I'm gonna put Sandy's email in the chat. Sandy handles our business things at SUNY Online, and she can answer questions about pricing as well. If anyone is a campus that's not currently using an early alert system and you're interested in what our new contract pricing is. Yeah, of course. Anything else? Well, I just want to say thank you so much to Jenny and Michele for being here and presenting and sharing what they're doing at their campuses. Again, I'll say this for the 4th time today. None of this means anything without our campuses being present and our campuses being willing to share with each other. This really has been the best community of practice in all the SUNY community of practice land. I think that, you know, it's the awesome humans that are involved in this that have made this product work really well and be super beneficial for our students. So thank you. And everyone else, I think this is the last presentation of today, but there's the rest of CIT this week that hopefully you'll all find some time to attend. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Nancy to see if she has any concluding thoughts.
No, that is it. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for participating today, and I look forward to seeing everyone at CIT starting tomorrow.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.